Jersey's own Zach Gelb. Or maybe it's Pennsylvania. Anyhow, it's one of the two, I'm pretty sure. The Zach Gelb Show continues on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Welcome back in, Zach Gelb Show on a Wednesday, 609-919-9200, taking you up until 6 p.m. this evening, and time in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios is 4:18. Now joining us on the hotline, he played Vito in The Sopranos and is a big sports fan, Giants and Yankees, and that's our good friend Joe Gannascoli. Joe, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
Good, pal. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, and I appreciate you coming and joining the Zach Gelb Show today on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. So I was reminiscing about The Sopranos early on today, and I was watching a lot of great clips on YouTube. The last show was in 2007. After all these years have passed, and clearly a lot has changed. What do you miss most about that show?
The paycheck. Well, I just, miss seeing the guys, the camaraderie, the laughs we used to have on set, finishing up and maybe going out afterward. But, like all good things, they come to an end, so I'm fine with that. And once in a while I'll see a couple of them here and there, but for the most part, seems like it was so long ago, 2007, that's almost, 8 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time. A lot has changed.
9 years.
I went through high school and college during that time since that show's ended.
High school and college. Yeah, it's funny. Now, a lot of the kids that weren't allowed to watch it when they were kids now are getting turned on to it, and so you have a whole new young generation coming up and, saying hello and talking about the show.
Yeah, my parents, they always let me watch the show, and I remember watching the last show with my family all in the same room in our living room, and I thought the ending was fantastic, but there were so many legendary actors on that show. Clearly, James Gandolfini has left us, but he played an instrumental role in that show. You also have Little Steven, and of course, so many great actors and actresses. Just what was it like to work with those people on that show?
I guess after, the first year, which I played a different character, and no one really knew how great it was going to be, and maybe by the second year it was sort of like cultish, but by the third, or middle of the second, but then everybody knew. And you never knew what the show was going to look like or sound like, because we really never got the whole script. Maybe Jim and Edie did, but for the most of us, probably we didn't see how it was going to look. So I watched it with the rest of America, 9 o'clock Sunday night. It was funny. Restaurants used to empty out at 8 o'clock, so everybody got home and in front of the TV, or they planned big meals in front at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, big Italian feast, and get ready for the show. But I loved watching the show just as much as everybody, and it was just... I was so blessed to be part of it because of the storylines, the acting, the writing, of course, and it was just an amazing time.
What was your favorite episode looking back at it all these years? Is there one that stands out to you?
Well, I would say, once the season 6 came about, my big season, I had a lot of, even living in, which wasn't really New Hampshire, but it was Boonton, New Jersey. Live Free or Die, which was great. I don't know what episode, maybe 6 or 5. That's when I wind up in New Hampshire. That was a lot of fun. I would say that one.
I was watching today when they whacked you. I was watching that scene on YouTube. What was it like to get killed in your own show?
It's funny. Where was he? Oh, I went to Giants camp yesterday, and I went back through the George Washington Bridge, and I had known this because someone sent me pictures. They knocked down the hotel, the motel that they killed me in, and every time I used to pass it, I used to think about that. It was kind of sad. I made it through maybe 41 episodes. I almost made it toward the end. I tried to talk David out of doing it, but his mind was made up, and it was the right thing to do, I think. But I was glad, in that show you went week to week, you didn't know if you were getting killed.
Joey G joins us right now. You were at Giants training camp the other day. Giants get ready on Friday to play on their first preseason game. How'd the Giants look yesterday?
You know, it's always hard. You know, I personally like to see the free agents up close and the draft picks. I have a few of the writers that follow them. So I'm not going to ask really them how does Eli look and Odell. I don't really care about that. You know, I do want to know about Victor, Victor, a couple of the receivers. There's a big battle going on there. There's guys about maybe 8 or 9 out of the 90 that I circle that I want to know about because they intrigue me. And so I get some, you won't read it in the paper, but at least I hear it from them what they think. And because the final cuts, I mean, you go from 90, I don't even know what it is, 90 to 70 maybe, and then there's a couple more, and then finally get a, you always feel like they're going to be cutting some guys. Well, some guys wind up on the practice squad, but, you know, you always think that someone's going to claim him and then you're going to regret it. I mean, that happens with every team, I understand. You know, it's first practice. I'll be back there Sunday. I look forward to Friday because those are the games that you see or you find, like a Victor Cruz, an undrafted, a walk-on that really, you know, shines. I always like those guys that make an impact on the team that, you know, so under the radar. But that goes to the scouting and coaching, and that's why I think my hat's off to Jerry Reese, always has been, Coach Coughlin, and then Al McAdoo. I always thought he did a great job drafting.
Did you talk to McAdoo the other day when you were out there?
No, he didn't even really come by. I think he split off to somewhere else. It took me a few times before I actually met Coach Coughlin. I do know Mr. Mara always comes over and says hello. I was hoping to see Jerry Reese and congratulate him on what I think is I think all 6 guys have a possibility of sticking on the team. So I didn't really meet. I didn't see any coaches that. Well, now some of them were all changed. I know still the Dave Merritt, defensive back coach. I've said hello to him, and I saw Odell's mother. I saw her. But I didn't get a chance to talk to McAdoo. I would almost probably say that he is a fan of the show. It always helps when they're a fan of the show.
Yeah, no doubt about that, and we'll talk about bottle skins in just a few seconds. So really with the Giants, and you're a big guy just like myself, I think this Giants season, and I believe they're the favorites in the NFC East, it's really coming down to that right side of the offensive line. That's the dark horse to me. If those big boys could play on the right side of the offensive line, I think the Giants win this NFC East this year, Joey G.
Yeah, everybody's saying, Newhouse and Jerry, and I thought that Jerry was sort of serviceable. The left side is set, and everyone gets on Newhouse, and they said, maybe the right tackle's not here yet, and they're going to sign someone. I thought Anthony Davis sort of intrigued me, from Frisco. He doesn't want to play. They haven't announced his retirement or what he's going to do. They still have him in as the right tackle starting. And I think Solari, being a 49er coach, might have had an inside track on him. But, listen, McAdoo knows Newhouse. He's with him in Green Bay, and if he's sticking with him, then he sees something. So I'm okay with that. I think that they're really going to be explosive offensively. If Victor can, and we'll find out, maybe he'll get some snaps Friday. If he can get some snaps and gets back to maybe 85%, it's going to be dangerous with Odell. Shepard's going to have a huge year. That kid's going to be dynamite. And then I like, Jeremy Davis. Roger Lewis is really making a name for himself. I was hoping in the kid from France, Anthony Deblis, but he said he's very raw. I crave a 6'4", 6'5" receiver, and we just haven't had that guy. I was hoping Ramses Barden would be it, but Plaxico since him. So, I don't know.
Were the fans, were the people that acted on the show, were they big sports fans?
I can't really say that they were, I'm sort of hardcore, but I've always been. It's always been, Rangers, Yankees, and Giants. And more Giants than anything because you only get 20 games, maybe 23. I love the preseason. So those games are just so, in between, one a week. And it's a long season if your team's horrible and you got to wait for the draft and free agents. It's long. But I don't know if they were any huge fans. I can't really say that I know if they were.
I would have to imagine, though, that you guys would get hooked up with tickets out of the wazoo. What was the best sporting event that you went when you got invited because you were Vito in The Sopranos?
Normally, I didn't really get invited. I don't, and people have, giant games. You want to go to the game? I don't like going to the game. I get too distracted. I like to zero in on the game on TV. I like to do replays, slow mo, make my own call while I'm waiting for the challenge. If I want to see an injury, if I want to check on the Eagles or the Cowboys, and then to be in a car if they lose, I'm like I could barely get out of bed Monday when they lose. So to be stuck in a car in traffic listening to the post game, it would be like heartbreak. I got went to the Rangers and Knicks. Not so much the Knicks. I'm not a big basketball fan, but Rangers where you get invited to the Suite 200 in the Garden, and you see some ex-players, you see some other celebs, and that was always cool. But to me, it's a hassle. I'm in Long Island. I'm comfortable. If I'm tired, and I like getting up early at 5 a.m., I go play racquetball. I like the comfort of my house, so I've passed on a lot of events to be there in person. It's not a big thrill. Some guys have got to be like, I got to be there. Me, I'm not like that. And lots of them, and there's one guy in particular on a show that's got to be there so he gets his face up on the scoreboard.
I wonder who you're talking about. I think I know who. My dad actually produced this show. I think you're talking about Francesa, right?
Who?
Mike Francesa?
No.
Oh, no.
No, I'm talking about from my show.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, he's got to be there because he'll always say, I was there.
I always see that you go after him on Twitter. I find it comical. It really is funny.
Oh, well, there's a guy at RN's Funhouse. I mean, if I'm like away or I was doing something I couldn't tune in, I'll just check his Twitter feed and he captures everything. So that's the best. He does all the work. And then he edits it in such a funny way. It's so good. I'm waiting. I never saw a guy that's supposedly number one and wrong it so many times. It's unbelievable.
Well, he's been very nice to me, but I can understand why there are some people that don't like him. So I'll leave it as that. Let's talk a little Yankees before we get to bottle skins. I just don't like, Joey G, how they're treating Alex Rodriguez on the way out. How about you?
Yeah, I hate it too. I like Alex. Here's my feeling about roids and all that stuff. I don't really care what a player does to win. I know that might sound cruel or crude or however you want to say it. I don't really care. They have to live with themselves. They have to sleep at night and whatever it is. I mean, LT must have did everything under the sun, and he performed when he had to on Sunday. And it's not the first time. Guys have been cheating since the beginning of sports. So they knew that going in. And I guess that getting the last laugh, maybe because he sued them, which is unfortunate. I personally would have loved to see him get to 700. I would love to see him get to 756, get the Yankee record back. And I think that he would make a great coach somewhere because he loves the game. He's a student of the game. He likes the history of the game. Younger players may look up to him. He might be able to teach someone, like, don't do what I did. I don't know. But I would love to see him stay with the Yankees. So I don't like what they're doing to him. I think it's kind of a shame. It would have been a great story if he would have hit 5 homers in 4 games. Unlikely, but maybe in Fenway it's possible. So I don't know.
You know what I thought was great though last night, and it really speaks volumes to an all-time great rivalry in the Yankee-Red Sox game. We know the Yankees are out of it, even though Joe Girardi still manages like they are in it from what he said after the game. But the way the benches cleared last night, and then also the way that the Red Sox fans respected Alex Rodriguez by chanting, "We want A-Rod" in the 9th. I thought that was really special last night.
Yeah, I was actually getting up early, so I was listening to that dust-off there in bed. I was listening to it on radio. So I didn't catch that. I must have fell asleep. I didn't see any of that yet. But maybe they wanted to get up to let him have it. I don't know. Maybe it's because, we're going to honor Ortiz, and maybe they've softened up a little bit for them to do that. Or maybe they're just, showing class after being so many, miserable for all those years.
All right, tell me a little bit about Bottle Skins and what you're doing with them right now.
Well, the bottle skins, you've seen them. I had this idea to cover up my 5-gallon water bottle in my home that a lot of people have, in their home or office. And that same skin, I found out, fits over a propane tank, which is good for tailgating and barbecuing and RVs. So I went to the Giants, and the Giants sent me to NFL licensing. And, first I said, wow, how come my water bottle, I could put my cover on my team on there. So I Googled any NFL products, and I didn't see anything, which is real lucky because if you Google NFL products, everything under the sun is licensed. So that was the first step, not having it done already, because once it's done, then it's done. And once I secured that, NFL licensing sent me into a company that I could work with, and they've been like the best, and I take them ideas, and I find things, and I take them, and if they like it, they license it. So these bottle skins go over the 5-gallon water bottle and a propane tank. We have them in the NFL, all 32 teams, the NHL, all teams, 60 colleges, 4 branches of the military, and camouflage. And I got them into Home Depot. I got them on Lowe's online. BJ's just put them out on their floor, I think starting Monday, and I already got an email saying they're selling very well. And it's been great. I mean, people put them on the backs of chairs. They put them over their dog. I have girls wear them as tube tops, And I'm sure you've seen the pictures. So
they're great.
Yeah, I mean, you could order them on sportsbottleskins.com. You could go to HomeDepot.com, Lowe's.com, Ace Hardware. I got them in. I mean, it's been really. I've been blessed. I was blessed to be on the show. I was blessed to have this idea, and for me, as a sports guy, having them in the Giants weight room and having a product. I was just telling Anita Marks this yesterday. She goes, you got to come on the show. I'm going to have you in. I said, I'd love to, because 2 things I like talking about, skins and Giants.
That's great. Real quickly before we let you run, I just want to get back to James Gandolfini, and we know he passed away, but who was the James Gandolfini that you knew? Because obviously we were able to see a side of him on television, but everything I hear and also read was that he was just such a nice guy and was really helped you guys out, the other actors and actresses on the show, greatly.
Yeah. Well, I've said this from the beginning. This was before I was sort of lambasted by a fellow cast member, which, by the way, you could read in Bob's Blitz.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever read that story. Bob's Blitz, and Google my name. So I said I was never really close to Jimmy, but the 3 instances I did interact with him one is in the beginning he came to I had a restaurant. I was still chefing at the time. All the cast members were doing like a guest appearance and be crowd of people, and we'd take pictures and so on. And Jimmy came for hours. Actually, CNN was there, and he stayed for hours. And he was sick as a dog. It was a rainy night. It was cold, and he came. And that to me was great. The second thing is he came to my wedding with his son, and he spoke at the wedding, as did everybody on the cast. But he's a very shy guy. And lastly, when I suggested for my role to take the swing that it did from a book I was reading, he approached me and said, listen, when we're going to do the read-through, I didn't think they were going to have me do what they had me do with the security guard. He said, listen, if you're not comfortable in doing this, we'll go talk to David Chase right now, and, we'll tell him. And I said, no, I sort of suggested it. I trust that the writers or him, they're going to do it very, do it the right way, and it's going to be brilliant. And sure enough, they did. They handled it well. So that's my and I'm sorry from being just a phenomenal person to watch act. I mean, I always said that when my daughter grows up, I got to see Mariano Rivera pitch the 9th inning in James Gandolfini act.
That's great. Before we let you run, so I just looked at this Bob Blitz article. I see it's on your Twitter, and you also pinned it as well. It's in your bio, and you also pinned it as well. So give me a few words on Steve Schirripa.
Well, what can I say? It's all really the guy did it in great investigative journalism. He uncovered it, he exposed him, and really it says it all right there. People are interested, they can go read it, but it speaks for itself. You live and you learn, you meet people, and they're not who they say they are.
You got it. Joe, we appreciate the time today. Thanks so much. Always fun to talk to you.
All right, my friend. Be well.
You too. There's Joe Gannascoli. Once again, does a tremendous job with bottle skins. And I thought he was talking about Francesa at first when he started talking about shows. Because I always see him on his Twitter at Joe R. Gannascoli, where you could follow him. And he follows a lot of people back. He's following over 5,000 people back. So you could go follow Joey G on Twitter. And I see him all the time ripping Francesa. He's not a big Francesa fan. I am because, Mike's been very kind to me in my career. But him and Steve Sciarippa have some serious beef. I have to read that entire article. I just quickly glanced over it. It's tough when I'm running the show, I'm doing the board, turning on the mics, screening the phone calls, and hosting the show at the same time to, when the guest quickly says something like that, to look it up, but I was able to. So I have to read the entire article on there. But Bob Blitz, I am a frequent visitor to that site, and I'm surprised I didn't see that story. They actually wrote an article about me once when I interviewed Boomer Esiason, and something that Boomer said. Also, actually, when I interviewed Mike, they also posted an article of me on Bob Blitz. So I will read that article and see what Joe was talking about, but I was not privy to that information. But I do like talking to him, and it's fun when you could get, and usually these are the summer guests, when you could get an actor that is able to talk sports, and he's a hardcore sports fan. And I see him all. We've gotten debates on Twitter a countless number of times because there's been a lot of things that I agree and disagree with, and we've got into a few heated arguments when it comes to sports. But I love The Sopranos. I still try to watch as many YouTube clips, or past episodes as I can. And I remember that last episode where the screen just faded away, and I thought to myself, holy crap, the power just went out on the biggest ending of the biggest show. I always remember that. But time of the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios is 4:40. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Fox Sports 920, the Jersey, 609-919-9200. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, we got to get into some of the baseball. A-Rod not in the lineup again. Mets, they're on life support. And the Philadelphia Phillies, Velasquez got bombed last night, and the Phillies are playing right now. More of the Zach Gelb Show will be right back, everybody.